Repeat. Count 7, 4, end.
Over on Facebook, I asked you guys, what did you want to see for the next Tacticool show? And overwhelmingly, you guys said, do a show about backstocks. Are they tactical or Tacticool? So that's what we're going to attempt to talk about today. We're going to talk about the backstocks. When we're talking about backstocks, we're talking about two different types, and this is going to be an example of the first type. This is a fixed stock right here. For all intents and purposes, that means that the length of this is fixed. Well, it's not going to go anywhere, so it's always going to be the same up to the shoulder all the time, every time. The other style is going to be an adjustable or a sliding stock, like this M16 stock on my Viper. Now this one, you can kind of see down here, it actually locks into place, just like that. And you can adjust it from the fly, so you can have a little shorter, a little longer, depending on what you like, what your style is, and sometimes what kind of terrain you're in, and all that other fun stuff. One of the main reasons that you have a stock on your gun to begin with is recoil. Now, paintball guns really do not have recoil, at least any considerable recoil. So the only reason that you'd have a stock like this on a regular paintball gun is stability. And I've talked about this many times before about how to get accuracy is having a stable platform to shoot from. And I could get into a discussion about ergonomics and motion and stuff like that, and to be honest with you, it really feels comfortable to hold a paintball marker like this for long periods of time. But there does come a point where the entire thing starts to fail, and that's when you start wearing these things over here. When you put your goggles on, and this is where things start to get interesting for me, when you try to level the gun up like this, it's going to knock into the way of the stock a lot of times. And in fact, you kind of have to change your shooting style to be more of a traditional shooter style, where you have the stock actually more into your shoulder. Now, if you got a sliding stock, you got a little more play, but you can actually not knock your goggles nearly as much as you normally would, but you still have a problem. That is that the gun body is way low, and unless you have a riser like this, you're not going to be able to use a sight or a scope or other similar device. And that's when we start introducing these over here, the old drop forwards. Now, I keep on having somebody on my channel telling me that these things are really old school. Well, so am I, so big deal. The one thing about this is that you can shoulder it and you have a clean line of sight down the barrel of the gun. You don't need a scope or anything like that. You can just go by line of sight. Which actually leads to the question, why would you want to have a stock on a paintball gun anyway? Well, of course, it looks cool, so there's that going for you. But also, it does give you that stability. It does give you that nice platform. It's something solid to put into your shoulder. It just feels pretty good, to be honest with you. There's also a matter of weight considerations. If you're hauling this thing around all day, it gets kind of heavy because you got the tank, you got the hopper, everything on here. This is going to be a heck of a lot lighter. Which actually brings me to the downside, and that's this remote line right over here, because you're going to be carrying the tank on your back as you're playing. And some guys just don't like having extra weight on their back. They don't mind it on the gun. And honestly, if you're trying to achieve the look, you're just not going to accomplish it without the right kind of a stock. And yeah, I know this is kind of one of those series of making fun of people who want to have the tactical look, but there's a lot of guys that that's important to, so yeah, you're just not going to get it without one of these. Alright, so bottom line verdict. Let's throw the graphic up over here. Is it tactical or tactical? I'm going to put it more on the tactical side, believe it or not. Yeah, it can kind of get in the way of your mask, it can kind of get in the way of a couple other things, but they're just comfortable. I mean, a couple hundred years of rifle making technology can't be wrong. And also, it's a matter of, once you get used to it, it's kind of easy to roll the shoulder, and it's actually really comfortable to use, and yeah, I'm going to put this under actually something that's kind of useful to have. Let me put a big asterisk on this one, and that is that for some people, it's not going to matter. And for you guys, no, you don't need to have any kind of a specialty stock or anything like that. You got the tank on the back of the gun, you're perfectly fine, and that's going to last you a long time. I used the gun in this rig just like this for years and years, and I've never once thought to myself, hey, if I put a wire stock on that, that would just be awesome. So I know this is going to sound like a really wishy-washy ending, but basically, yeah, this is going to be one of the more tactical things that you can actually bolt onto a gun, but if you don't need it, I wouldn't bother with it. But I'll be the first one to admit, it actually does look pretty cool. And for those of you who actually know my shows and hang on for what's at the end of the credits, yeah, I got an admission to make over here. I put up this poll on Monday, and I had gone off a really nasty weekend, hadn't slept, and all sorts of fun stuff. And when I put up the poll, you start seeing responses come in, and I swear to you, that when the first couple responses came in, I thought you guys were asking me to do a show about tactical butt sex. If you just spit soda all over your screen, I'm sorry, but that's what it looked like when I first saw it come up on Monday.